Mr. Warren Buffett is an American long-term investor, philanthropist, business tycoon, and the chairman and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. Here, he is sharing about two people who have made an impact in his life on the way they handled their humble beginnings that lead them to success to his audience who are students. Let's see what we can learn from him as well. These people had one thing in common. They knew they had it in themselves. They knew they could be something beyond where they were willing to put their time, their energies to better themselves. Mr. Buffett started sharing. There were two women that each sold the business to Berkshire Hathaway. Both of them started with $2,500 by a coincidence with the exact same amount. It was everything they had in the world, and one of them was a woman who landed in Seattle in 1917. Couldn't speak a word of English, had a tag around her neck. The tag said Fort Dodge, Iowa. The Red Cross got her to Fort Dodge where she was reunited with her husband who had come to the country a couple of years earlier, and she lived in Fort Dodge for 2 years. She couldn't learn a word, and so she and her husband decided to move to Omaha. They came to there in 1919, and there she found a small colony of Russian Jews, so she started feeling more at home, and then as her oldest daughter went to school, she would come home this daughter, Frances, and she would teach her mother words. She learned in school that the day that this woman Rose Bumpkin spent 20 years saving money, bringing first her siblings over her mother and father. That time she sold used clothing to do it, and she had 4 children during this period, and by 1937, after 20 years she would save $2,500. He has never seen a business, and even though he has seen a lot of businesses, he has never seen one that delights the customer. She went to Chicago and she bought what furniture she could have. Her dream is to always open furniture. That spirit that people in the room had about having a dream and working to accomplish that dream, she built a business which she sold to Mr. Buffett in 1983 for $60 million approximately, in which did $1.5 billion worth of business last year. Their 4th generation is working in that business. This woman, Rose Blumkin, worked for him until she was 103. She died the following year, which is a lesson to all of Berkshire's managers that premature retirement, that you know nothing and really cannot tell what's really going to happen in the future. But Mrs. Rose Blumkin, with her 2,500, though one further fact about her, she could not read or write, and went into a furniture business, and she didn't bring anything unique in furniture, but she brought a determination to succeed. She knew she could outwork anyone else. She knew she cared about her customers. She worked at very low gross margins, but she built this incredible business. And he saw another woman who did a similar thing with $2,500. He paid her hundreds of millions of dollars for her business, so he decided to go to the source and get these people before. He pointed out to his audience, to one other small business person, that he went to buy his business from him and he turned him down, which was very wise. But this was a fellow who was born about 8 years before he was born. His name is Jack, who lived in the Midwest. He was a pretty good athlete. The company he built hires more college graduates each year than any other company in the United States. This fellow who was destined for this but did not know it went to college for a year and then dropped out, because he really wasn't that interested in school. When the country, the United States, became under attack, he went down to the Army Air Force recruiting station and they turned him down because he had high fever. So he went over to the Navy and again volunteered, and they took him and put him on an aircraft carrier. He flew small flight airplanes. During World War II, he got 2 distinguished flying crosses from the Navy. He came back to the Midwest, so now we've got a young guy. Probably by this time he would be 23 or 24 years old, and the interesting thing is he got back to the Midwest. He went from one job to another for a short period, or not such a short period of time, and he finally became a used car salesman at a Cadillac dealership in St. Louis, Missouri. Jack started at age 35 in the car leasing business. At age 40, he decided with 17 rental car businesses, so now he's taking on Hertz and Avis and National and people like that who have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of cars. So he started the company and he named it after the battleship that he'd flown from in the Pacific, which was the USS Enterprise, and he died about a year and a half ago. But when he died, his rent-a-car company, starting with those 17 cars, was worth more than Hertz and Avis and all the rest of the rental cars put together. He lived by the creed basically of delighting his customers and working with people and establishing a relationship with them so that they in turn would want to like the customers. He couldn't go out there and take care of every rental car, but he learned how to project himself and his attitude toward his fellow man and his desire to make a friend out of every customer. He managed to take very ordinary cars and turn them into this extraordinary business from virtually nothing. It illustrates great points, one of which is you don't necessarily get it exactly right at the first time. But at the age of 40, with all of the experience behind him, he found the golden key. He took a very ordinary business and turned it into an absolutely extraordinary operation. He didn't worry about the things he couldn't change, but he was more concerned about the customer's experience. He was smart enough to see that he would find that business. Henry Ford, as you may know, failed twice before he started the Ford Motor Company in 1903. It isn't whether you get the greatest business idea in the world the first time out. The test is whether you keep learning as you go along. What your strengths are and what you can do for your customers. What you can bring to the people, and to do that you need the education that we know you've received through 10,000 small businesses, but you need a genuine desire day in day out to delight the customer. He said that he has seen a lot of business already. He has seen that the person who delights the customer really did succeed. It is like what you want is that customer the next day when they think, I want to rent a car or do I want to buy some furniture? What goes through their mind? It's the place where they've had a great experience. We want them to remember how they were treated. You'll have a hard time finding a person who has had a wonderful experience, a delighted experience in purchasing anything that isn't going to come back. Similarly, if the memory is of rudeness, indifference, and whatever it may be, they're never gonna come back. As a small business owner and as you grow, you have to not only be able to project that interest in people's well-being and delighting them yourself, but you have to do it through other people. So you really do have to learn to multiply yourself through other people. He added, in terms of your personal life, the most important decision you may make is choosing your spouse, and also it's very important to surround yourself with great people. People who are better than you are, so that you can move in the direction of the people you associate yourself with. He also advises to look for the people that actually are examples to you rather than somebody that you think you need to straighten out yourself. They will take you so far in life that it's hard to believe. To the graduates, know that this man is really cheering for you and declaring that the best is yet to come. Remember, when you persevere and do things humbly, you will succeed. Every person has a different story. We all have to see where we are good at. We also need to find people who will be able to help us, encourage us, and point us how we can improve ourselves. There is a well-known quote that actually derived from the Bible as well. Do to others what you want others to do to you as well. If you want to be treated well, you have to make sure to do that to others as well, no matter what status in life they have. If you will be mindful of how you will treat people equally, this would make it a lot easier for you to make it a habit. Also, the Bible says, do not despise the humble beginnings. Those simple starts can make a big difference if you mix working hard while remembering to treat people well. One day, who would have thought your story can inspire somebody? You can do it by starting it right now.